Do your RV steps still
wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble, baby, wobble?
Let's talk about that again, because this is the Lippert versus MORryde RV Step Battle 2.0. Chris Dow here with Around the Sun We Go, and if your RV still has the wobbly style of RV step, you're probably looking to upgrade to the new style, which offers a lot more stability. If you don't already know, the old style step is one that folds out from under your rig, and the bottom step simply hovers above the ground without making any contact. Therefore, when you step on that bottom step, you're hovering, and so you wobble around like you're on the edge of a diving board. Luckily, our rig, which is a 43-foot toy hauler, it came with the new style of step on our front door, which means we never had to deal with any of those issues at our main entry. But we did have the traditional style on our back door, and having used both, I can tell you the experience is definitely night and day. And especially as full-time RVers, going up and down a wobbly step with 50 pounds of groceries or something big and bulky that's blocking your view, I can definitely understand how that can be an inconvenience on a day-to-day basis. Back in 2021, I covered the pros and cons of two of the most popular stable step offerings on the market, the Lippert SolidStep and the MORryde StepAbove step. Since then, there have been quite a few upgrades by both competitors, so the question remains, which brand of new style step is best? At first glance, you're not going to notice much difference between the two. They're both going to give you increased weight capacity and increased stability. They're both constructed from lightweight, high-quality aluminum. They're both stowed inside on travel days, so they're exposed to the elements a lot less. And they both have adjustable independent legs that work great on uneven terrain. Now, with that said, there are pros and cons to each, so let's get into that right after you smash that like button. The first difference between these two brands is going to be the specific size offerings as well as the overall step width and step depth. Lippert offers two possible width options for their steps, while MORryde offers three. Each of these widths come in either a 2-step, 3-step, or 4-step configuration, and the specific model you choose from either brand will depend on the width of your doorway and the height from your threshold to the ground. When comparing like-size variants between the brands, the latest generation models are very similar in their overall step dimensions. Just to give an idea of the slight differences, in my case, I chose the widest 4-step models from each brand, and as you can see here, the MORryde step has a width of 23.5 inches, while the Lippert step has a width of 24 inches. Which is only half an inch in Lippert's favor. The step depth is similar, with Lippert coming in at 8.5 inches deep, while the MORryde is at 8. And then the depth of the top step, which has been upgraded on both brands to essentially create a top platform, comes in at 13 inches deep on the Lippert and 10.5 on the MORryde. So while the overall width and depth of these steps are very similar, Lippert technically offers the larger step surface. But with that extra space does come a slight reduction in weight capacity, which brings us to the second difference between these two steps. While MORryde offers a weight capacity of 500 pounds, the Lippert step is only rated for 400 pounds, which should work in most cases, but if you're looking for the absolute highest weight capacity, MORryde is the winner. So the third difference between these two steps is the ease of leg adjustment. Both Lippert and MORryde have upgraded from their old and frustrating adjustment pin setups to these new quick release triggers, which work fantastically. There are a few slight differences between the systems, but they essentially work the same. On the MORryde, you simply pull the leg out to whatever length you need, and it automatically locks into that position. You can then press the trigger to quickly and easily retract. The Lippert system is similar, but it requires the trigger to be pressed before you can move the leg in either direction. You can also see here that MORryde's trigger is on the back of the step, while Lippert's is located on the side. Both systems work well, and this upgrade makes a huge difference when trying to quickly deploy the steps at a rest stop or simply setting up camp after a long day of driving. One other quick tip I wanted to mention about the feet on both models: make sure to put a piece of wood or at least a thick mat between the steps and the ground just to protect the feet from rock damage. The damage you see here was actually sustained the very first night we moved into our rig on our factory installed set of steps. We deployed them on some gravel, went up and down all night, and then this is what we discovered when we packed up the next day. The feet on both models are now plain stainless steel, so you won't see the black paint cracking and pilling, but I still put a mat down whenever I can. Next up is the difference between each step's quick release hinge. This is a new feature added by both brands, which allows users to quickly and easily remove the steps from their unit if they find themselves in tight quarters where they're unable to deploy the steps. On the older models, if you were too close to a wall or another vehicle at your home or in a storage facility or a truck stop, you wouldn't be able to get into your rig. But now you can simply pop out the pins and remove the steps with ease. MORryde's pins work great, but they are separate pieces that need to be kept up with once removed, and sometimes the final alignment takes a bit of jiggling to get it just right. I would say Lippert has a slight advantage here because their quick release pin is spring loaded and permanently attached to the step, which not only equals less parts to misplace, but also makes alignment a bit easier when reinstalling. Next up, we have the performance of the assist features, which is the strut-based upgrades that both Lippert and MORryde offer. These systems act just like any other strut system you've seen on a trunk or a hood, allowing you to lift the 50+ pound steps with very little strength or effort. It's important to note that on both brands, adding the assist feature will eliminate the quick release hinge, so you'll need to decide which feature is more important to you and choose between the two. Just for reference, the 4-step version of both brands requires just over 52 inches of clearance to deploy, so if you'll be in spaces tighter than those measurements, you may want to take that into consideration. In my last video, MORryde was the clear winner here because their strut assist feature worked flawlessly, providing smooth, full support from top to bottom. And while Lippert's version provided a good bit of assistance throughout most of the motion, it didn't do much once you were about 80% of the way up. Lippert was listening to everyone's feedback though, and their latest generation version of lift assist has been totally revamped. They actually sent me out the first prototype of their new design, and I can confirm that it's now much closer in both performance and footprint to the MORryde system. So with both competitors now offering a very similar assistance experience, we're now neck and neck in this category. This brings us to the next difference, which is the way in which the steps and the assist features are marketed and packaged. If you look on MORryde's website, you'll see they offer a standard step above step, which includes the quick release hinge, and then they offer a step above step with strut assist. So if you wanted the assist feature, you would buy it packaged as a single product. Lippert, on the other hand, offers their step separately and their lift assist separately. So if you wanted both the steps and the assist feature, you would buy two separate products. So while MORryde's combo packaging could offer a simpler purchase and installation experience, Lippert's add-on option could allow for more versatility. It really just depends on your preference and specific application. The next difference is the way in which these steps are mounted to the rig. On the quick release versions without the strut-based assist feature, the MORryde step simply requires 8 screws in the floor, while the Lippert step requires 5. Then we have the versions with the strut-based assist features. Both brands currently require wall mounts to be installed on each side of the door frame, which means removal of a small section of molding from both sides as well. Lippert's previous generation of lift assist required only one wall mount, but this has changed with the latest version, making both brand installations very similar. The MORryde system requires the least amount of hardware though, with 4 screws in the floor and 4 screws on each side of the door frame. The Lippert system requires 6 screws in the floor and a total of 9 screws around the door frame. Next up is the process you'll need to follow to purchase each step. Before making either purchase, you'll need to determine which exact model number fits your specific RV. For Lippert SolidStep, you can find measurement instructions on their website, which I'll put a link to down below in the description, and then you can follow the links on that page to proceed with ordering directly from them. For MORryde StepAbove, you can use the interactive qualifier on their website, which I'll also link below, to determine your specific model number, and then take that STP- number and search for it on eTrailer.com or Amazon. Finally, both Lippert and MORryde offer an optional handrail that can be purchased separately and installed directly to the step, providing additional stability when going up and down. MORryde's handrail is installed quickly and easily using 4 bolts, and once secured feels very solid and stable. Lippert's, on the other hand, requires a bit more work to install, but it also features height adjustment and quick and easy removal via 4 pins. This feature does introduce a bit of play and instability into the system though, and is therefore nowhere near as solid as the MORryde handrail. So it really just depends on what's more important to you, absolute stability or adjustability and quick removal. Just for reference, when folding the steps into the door with the handrails installed, both brands require right at 36 inches of clearance. So if your space is limited during stowing, being able to quickly remove the handrail might be a game changer for you. MORryde does offer an additional handrail called the Safety Rail, which mounts directly to the outside wall of your camper and folds flat during travel. So that's another option to consider if your interior space is limited or if you're simply looking for the longest handrail possible. Alright, so at the end of the day, which brand is best? Well, I'm gonna leave that up to you guys this time.
Say what?
Comment below to vote for either Lippert or MORryde, and then let us know why. What specific features are most important to you? And also, are there any features that don't yet exist that you'd like to see added to the steps? Both Lippert and MORryde are keeping an eye on this comment section, so let's help them take a step in the right direction. Come on, dude. So that's about it for the pros and cons of the Lippert versus MORryde step. If you're interested in seeing me install the newest versions with the quick release hinges, stay tuned because I'll be covering that next. So first step for me, since I already had a previous version of the new style step installed, was to remove that set. Most people, however, will be upgrading from the old style fold under the rig steps and therefore wouldn't have to worry about removing anything from the doorway, because the new style of step would be the first thing installed there. And quick side note about the old steps, if you're not going to be using those anymore, you can remove them from your rig and leave that space empty, but both MORryde and Lippert offer a solution for this empty space, which is an external lockable storage box. If you're interested in seeing an old style set of steps be removed and replaced with one of these storage box solutions, check out the link in the description for the video I made covering that. But back to the current install. So the installation process for both brands of steps with the quick release hinge is very similar. We'll start here with the Lippert set. You want to set the step in the doorway and make sure it's centered left to right. Then you want to carefully lift the step into the doorway so you can access the holes for the 5 mounting screws. Once those are secure, you'll need to adjust both sides of the door frame plate so the lips line up with the edge of your door frame. To do this, just break the 2 bolts loose on each side and slide the lip to the proper width. Retorque the bolts, and then that's it for installing the Lippert set. And then again, the installation process for the MORryde set is very similar. You want to make sure the mounting brackets are folded in like this, center the step in the door, and then you'll see there are 2 pilot holes that you can use to go ahead and attach a couple screws, making it a lot easier to lift the step without anything moving on you. You'll then have access to the remaining 6 mounting holes. After you fasten the rest of the screws, you'll then need to adjust both sides of the door frame plate so the lips line up with the edge of the door frame. Just like with the Lippert step, break these 2 bolts loose on each side and slide the lip to the proper width. Retorque the bolts, and then that's it for installing the MORryde set. The strut-based versions install a bit differently and start out with the steps vertical in the door. These are a bit heavier than the steps without the assist feature, and it'd probably be smart to have somebody help you out from above, but as you can see, I enjoy a good struggle. Before you lift this up and try to force it through the doorway, make sure you loosen these and take this to the narrowest so it's not blocking you from getting in. I made that mistake. Once you have everything lined up with the door frame, you'll be able to see exactly how much molding you'll need to trim in your case. Then you can simply make a mark just above each of the brackets and use a utility blade to slice through the molding. In my case, it was soft and pretty simple to do. Once everything is flush, you can then fasten all of the screws into the floor and the wall, make your adjustments on the door frame plates, and then you're done. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. I again want to thank both Lippert and MORryde for sponsoring this video. Remember to cast your vote in the comments below. Would you rather have the Lippert SolidStep or the MORryde StepAbove? And what features are most important to you? Also, feel free to drop any questions you might have in the comments as well, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can.